What's going on, guys? This is Kashtira. Welcome back. So we are back with another Uncrowned Kings local metagame report video that will cover tournament results and decklist reviews for the past week. We have November 5 to November 13. So a week-long span of tournament data that we are going to cover here on this video. So we will be going to see which decks are doing well at the midweek of November. So let's start. First, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Indonesia weekly tournament from Yu-Gi-Oh! Yogyakarta. At first here we have Silent Force, no? So this deck has been tapping a lot recently. This deck was fairly new on the metagame because this just got recently released from the Phantom Nightmare, but this deck is already making waves on the OCG format. This deck is very consistent and can play through almost most of the hand traps on the metagame currently. This deck doesn't lose to Ash Blossom. You also really didn't struggle that much against Infinity Permanence and Veiler, and also you don't really lose hard against Maxi, which is very important on the success of this deck, because if you are a deck that can play around Maxi on the OCG format, you are a very good deck you are in a good spot as well on the metagame. But this deck can establish Omni Negate almost 90% of the time when going first, and also it has a lot of starters. You have the Novox and the Diviner and all of those ritual consistency stuff. So this is a very good deck for me. I do think that this deck will eventually be more higher on the tier list because I think people are getting the gist of the deck right now. They're trying to play this deck much more often than the previous week. On this list, it is very interesting to see Artemis Slayer on the side deck. Most people really didn't anticipate this card on the format because they are expecting Droplet and Dark Ruler No Mores and something like Lightning Storm and Evenly Match for going second cards. But Artemis Slayer can be very interesting here, especially when you have the toolbox of your dump targets from the Nadir Servant on your extra deck like Merilogic and the Entis and the Garura. So yeah, this is a very spicy list. Moving on, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Davao Mindanao Gaming ranking tournament. At first here we have Vince Paulo Dagala Labyrinth. So this Labyrinth is pretty much usual, no? It plays 2 transaction rollback and 2 Daruma Cannon. The only interesting part here is I think the Solemn Judgment on the main deck. You don't really anticipate that card from the Labyrinth when going first, and also the Terror Roots on the underground. So yeah, it can be really good against some rogue decks on the format that can utilize graveyard and on-field monsters. And also the side deck is really commendable. I really like the fact that he included Border on the side deck. I think Inspector Border is a massive card when going first if you are able to go first and win the die roll on this Labyrinth. And also you have things like the barrier on the side deck that can propel your game against linear decks that goes into something like XYZ Summon like Purrely, and also Silent Force that is ritual based as well. So those type of decks would really struggle around the barrier. Moving on, we have Mannadium Horus, no? So this is very interesting. I think it's the first time that I have seen Mannadium with Horus engine on the metagame right now. But yeah, I think this deck is very nice as well. It can turbo out the Calamity, of course. He shied away from the recent trend of Mannadium that excludes the Calamity on the extra deck, because most Mannadium on Japanese tournaments have been playing Mannadium as a standard combo deck that summons something like the Dispater, the Barone, the Savage, and also things like Thunder Dragon Colossus and Apollousa sometimes with IP Masquerena. So yeah, I think Calamity is still the best option for me on Mannadium because it is really an instant win card most of the time. Paired with Horus, it functions like something like Centurion Horus now with this Horus inclusion on the Mannadium, and can give you some good tools as well to rank 8 and climb into something like Photon Lord on this deck list. On the side deck, I really think that Prohibition is really nice here. It can help you not lose against Droll and Lockbird, which is very popular right now on everyone's main deck and even side deck. So yeah, I think Prohibition is a good call here. And then moving on, we have Arcanium Hobbies from Indonesia. First here, we have another Mannadium decklist here from Jonathan S. So this is what I'm talking about earlier. The recent trend of Mannadium are trying to play Mannadium as a basic combo deck, which doesn't play the Calamity, of course. So yeah, I think this is also a variation of Mannadium that also works on the format right now. This Mannadium is very linear. It plays the Visas engine on the deck with the Scareclaw and the Samsara on the deck. And also it plays the Book of Moon on the main deck. I really think that this is also a good tech card here from Jonathan, because you want to dodge something like Imperms and Veilers on the format. So yeah, I think Book of Moon is really nice here, and it is also underestimated when going second, because most of the cards here on the format does have graveyard effects. So you want to have a card that lets you target them and evade their effects, but won't destroy them on the same manner. So yeah, Book of Moon is a card that can do that as well. And then next we have Earth Good Stuff from LDKY. So yeah, this version of Earth Good Stuff is much more oriented on playing more hand traps, no? It plays Ash Blossom, Ghost Ogre, and 3 talents. I think this card is still, this deck is still very popular on regions like Taiwan, China, and yeah, Hong Kong. But I don't really see this Earth Good Stuff anymore on Japanese tournaments, or yeah, in the Philippines, in the Indonesia as well. I don't really see this deck that much. But I think that this deck is still fairly capable of tapping, even though you have a lot of decks that are doing really crazy right now, like Fire Kings, Rescue Ace, all of those tier 1 powerful decks, Silent Force, and all of those type of decks are really good right now. I think even this Earth Good Stuff got overshadowed from the likes of them. I still think that this deck is still fairly capable of tapping when you consider the fact that most decks cannot really keep up with the explosiveness of this deck when you can resolve your cards properly on the Earth Good Stuff when going first, no? You can really dominate the game as early as possible when you set up something like the Savage, Baroni, Ivy Masquerena, Pulusa, and SP Little Knight, and all of those powerful stuff on the extra deck of this Earth Good Stuff that can really be played when going first. On the side deck, I really think that the inclusion of the Anti-Spell Fragrance is massive here. This Anti-Spell is very strong against the format right now. We have the decks like Fire King, Rescue Ace that runs Bonfire, and also Silent Force also that runs a lot of spell cards on the deck, and also not to mention Purrely as well, very viable and very powerful still on the format. And we have things like Pendulum Magician, which auto loses to Anti-Spell Fragrance. So the Anti-Spell Fragrance is a really good deck here on the side deck. Most people would not expect the Anti-Spell Fragrance, because most of the time you only see the Barrier or something like a Pointer of the Red Lotus are the most setted up cards when going first by an player right now. But yeah, I think Anti-Spell can really surprise people right now. And then moving on, we have Phantom Knights Horus with Adventure Engine. So yeah, this is the same old Phantom Knights with a lot of discard mechanics on the deck. We have the Horus to discard your Phantom Knights and Adventure, so that you gain so much value on the graveyard from that. So yeah, I think this is still a very nice deck right now. Even though other Horus decks and other decks like Orcus and Naturia Horus are much better for me than this, I think this is still a very capable deck on doing some great things right now in the format. You have the Adventure package that gives you toolbox to have access to something like Dracobak, which is very insane on outing Floodgates on the format. And also, Phantom Knights is still a very nice engine as well, because it gives you the Bardish and the something like I forgot the name of the trap card of Phantom Knights. Yeah, Fogblade, yeah. I remember now. And also, you have things like Photon Lord on the field that can give you extra negation, and IP into SP Little Knight as well is very good. So overall, this deck can set up a very considerable board when going first, and also the going second of this deck is really immense. You can go into all of your XYZ toolbox on your extra deck that can instantly go into Zeus. And also, Zombie Vampire is very insane on this deck by milling your cards and putting your Phantom Knight cards on the graveyard is really massive for this deck. And the next, we have Eldlich, no? So, the good old Eldlich. But this time, it plays more hand traps, no? It plays Ghost Ogre and Roll and Lockbird. I really understand that because Eldlich is a very strong deck. When going first, if you can draw your floodgates like Mistake, there can be only one, Rivalry, all of those cards like a Office. When you go first, you can pretty much comfortably play the game. But the issue with Eldlich is you're going second rather. To be honest, you really don't have the tools except for the Golden Lord discard to be able to break boards on the deck. So yeah, I think playing hand traps on Eldlich could be a solution on that problem. But yeah, I don't think I would do the same if I'm going to play Eldlich right now. I would just play more board breaker cards like Villainy Match, to be honest. And yeah, I think Droll is very underrated here on this deck list. I think Droll is immense when you can draw this card and when you can go against something like Pendulum Magician, Purrely, all of those decks that loses hard to Droll. So yeah, this is a very nice list from Ramadan. And then moving on, we have Paducah Weekly Tournament. At first here we have Rescue Ace. So Rescue Ace with Bar Statue of Fire. I really think that this variant would be very strong post Fire King, Sinful Spoils, Snake Eyes, no? When you consider the decks on that format, we have Three Lemons, we have Purrely, we have all of those non-fire decks on the format. They would really lose bad against this Firebar Statue. But right now, I don't think it's the correct choice to do because you have things like Fire King on the meta. We have the Snake Eyes, we have the Salaman Great. So there's a lot of fire decks right now in the format. In the mirror match itself of Rescue Ace. So yeah, most top tier decks here would have no issues dealing with the Firebar Statue on your setup. But I really like to comment the Nemesis Corridor here on the deck list of his Rescue Ace. I know he's trying to play Rescue Ace on a budget basis. It doesn't play the Sinful Spoils and the Snake Eyes engines on the deck. So yeah, he's trying to innovate this deck list on a budget manner on this note. So yeah, Nemesis Corridor is very insane when being played on this Rescue Ace. You can turbo out the Colossus, which gives you a free body on the field that is a walking mistake. So they would really struggle around you. Most decks right now really adds cards for advantages. So yeah, they would really struggle around the Colossus. Next we have Mechanico. So this deck has been falling off recently from the metagame charts that, as far I'm seeing right now. But when you consider the fact that you can tell that Horus is a good going second engine or deck right now in the format, Mechanico is a lot times better than Horus on the going second department. This deck can single-handedly OTK opponents for fun when going second, paired with Dogmatika engine, which can give them access to dumping Nadir and dumping Elder Entity entities and other stuff here on the extra deck like Wind Pegasus, Ignister. So yeah, it can really go second and OTK, and most people cannot build a deck that has protections when facing a deck like Mechanico. So yeah, the only struggle of Mechanico is they don't really do much, to be honest. That's where they are lacking at. They don't have the unfairness factor of a deck right now in the format, but it is really still a very decent deck, no? When you consider that you can go second comfortably and you can still go first on the deck. You have things like there can be only one to back you up. And yeah, I think this is a really nice deck right now in the format and very underrated one as well. And then next we have Mathmech. So before I have thought that Mathmech is really a dead deck already. But when I'm browsing tournament results over the past weeks on this November, I am really reconsidering my thoughts on this Mathmech, because Mathmech is still topping recently for some reasons. Maybe because this mid-range deck which has rooms for a lot of hand traps. But on this deck, it's pretty much a combo-ish type of Mathmech with Firewall and the Coders on the main deck. But most of the time, Mathmech is mid-range deck which has 12 to 15, even 18 space for hand traps. Maybe I have been wrong on regarding Mathmech as a dead deck when they have lost to Circular, because Mathmech can really answer most of the decks on the format by having space of that 15 to 18 hand traps slots on the deck. Half of their deck are utility cards which can do something around the very diverse meta right now on the format. So yeah, I would really give props to Mathmech for adapting on the format by playing more hand traps on the deck and answering them when going second. And also, this deck can comfortably go second. You can have the one card access code talker with update jammer and splash mage on your arsenal. So this is really nice when going second. You pretty much almost win the game every time when you can stop your opponent. And the going first of this deck is not too shabby. You have the Dark Fluid Dragon and the things on the graveyard that has negation effects. So yeah, I really like this Mathmech right now on the format. And then moving on, we have Kitsune Duelist OCG tournament. At first we have Kashtira. Wow. So it's been a while since I have seen Kashtira, no? But this Kashtira is very different. It feels like a very control-based Kashtira. You have things like Chicken Game and Small World to improve the consistency of Kashtira, but you also have Prohibition to declare cards that would really hurt you. And also Ice Dragon Prison is really interesting here. I think Ice Dragon Prison is a very underrated card right now in the format. I think it answers most of the meta decks right now on the format. And if you can resolve this card on the current metagame, I think you would be in a really good position on the format. So yeah, Kashtira, I think, aside from Arise Heart, it doesn't have any threats on the format right now. But Arise Heart is Arise Heart. It is a walking macrocosmos. So yeah, I think that's the bread and butter of Kashtira right now, to be able to set up the Kashtira. And also, not to mention, if you have face a Pendulum Magician player, they would instantly lose as well on Shangri-La if you can lock out their Pendulum zones as well. So yeah. Moving on, we have another Mathmech. So you're seeing right now that Mathmech is still doing fairly decent right now in the format, because it is the second Mathmech, if I'm correct, on this metagame review right now. So yeah, this Mathmech is the usual Mathmech that we are seeing before. We have the Spirit Engines to make rank 4 on the Mathmech. We have Signet Mining to improve the consistency, but it doesn't play the Small World. No, I'm really wondering why he didn't play the Small World. Maybe he focused much on the names of Mathmech cards on the main deck, and also things like Lightning Storm and Feather Duster can be very handy cards when going second. And then next we have Sword Soul Tenyi. So Sword Soul Tenyi is also losing traction recently. I know this deck is very capable still and very much played on the TCG format, but on the OCG it's really a different story, no? Because Sword Soul has been very decent but also very fair as well. They don't have that unfair mechanic on the deck. I think the Chisho and Baronepas is still decent, but it's nothing more than that, to be honest. Maybe if you're a very skilled Sword Soul player, you can definitely juggle your resources playing the Tenyi cards. You can utilize the Tenyi cards if you are very good at comboing off using the Tenyi, and can also bait out negations and interruptions when going second when you played with Tenyi cards on your hand. So yeah, I think that sums up on the Sword Soul. Even though they are trying their best on the format, they're doing all of those crazy combo-ish stuff on the deck. They're trying to evade most of the hand traps. They're trying to break boards minimally using the Tenyi cards. I think it is really not enough as well on the format. I think Sword Soul is a deck that should be played on a mid-range to control variant instead of something like this with 10 numbers, high 10 numbers, and comboing cards like Dragon Circle, because you can do that on the TCG, but on the OCG you would really lose bad against Maxi. Of course, even though you have enough gas, you don't have answers that much when going second against decks that can set up multiple negations and interruptions, like something like Fire King and Rescue Ace. So yeah, I would prefer to play more hand traps like Troll and Lockbird and also Effect Veiler. But yeah, this list doesn't really play that extensive hand traps on the main deck. It really plays only 2 Maxi. But yeah, I think I get the gist of this deck. It can really outgas you on this build. And then moving on, we have Dumaguete tournament. We have Alexis Precioso's Purrely. So yeah, we can definitely tell that Purrely is still a very commendable deck right now in the format. Purrely has been around on the metagame since the past 3-4 months already. So this deck has been quite cemented as one of the most reliable decks on the format right now. This Purrely list is very much linear. You play 3 Veiler, 3 Imperm, and 2 Droll on the main deck with 2 Desires and Prosperity. Very standard deck this year from Alexis. And also on the side deck, it plays Lava Golem. So yeah, Lava Golem can be really immense on Purrely. If I'm trying to optimize this side deck, I would play something like Sphere Mode in replacement of 1 Lava Golem, just to have a countermeasure and a card to answer heavy combo decks like Pendulum Magician and other decks that set up a very huge board on the format. But other than that, I think this list is very much built correctly. And then next we have Yugi King Malaysia, November 4th, 12 tournament. So first we have Centurion Horus. So I think it's been a report that we are seeing less of Centurion. Maybe people are tired of playing Calamity Pass on the format. But yeah, Calamity Horus is still a very huge threat on the format. When you don't have answers on this deck, when going second, you automatically lose the game. Paired with Horus, it can be really frustrating to deal against this because it has so much recursions and also can really be very resilient on the format. And then moving on, we have Fire King. So Fire King without, it plays Bonfire. Yeah, I think it's the standard version of Fire King. One innovation right now on the format is Fire King plays the Zilliantis on the extra deck. It can give them resilient results and also can push them for more better access on the extra deck using the Amblo Whale and the Promethean Princess, the Prisoner Princess. And the next we have Pendulum Magician. That main deck, Super Poly. Wow, very interesting. I never thought that Super Poly could be main deck on the Pendulum Magician. I'm really surprised that he has rooms for Madragon and Garura on his extra deck. Maybe he trimmed some important cards on the extra deck. I'm not really too familiar or too familiarized on the extra deck ratios of the Pen Magi. But yeah, I think this really well built deck list here. It plays 2 talents. Maybe he wants to focus on having cards that can give him chance when going second. Also, it plays Summon Limit, no? I think it's the correct call here on the Pendulum Magician. Most of the time, you have big bodies on the board, on the field, to be able to beat down your opponent when your opponent outgas your negations on the field. But other than that, I think most decks doesn't have the resources to destroy the board of something like Pendulum Magician on the format, except if they have drawn No More and Droplet. And then moving on, we have Branded. So Branded as well is a very timely deck on the format. We have seeing Branded since 2021 and Branded is still very relevant until this date. So this Branded plays Shadow Schism, no? It is very different. I think it plays the Winda. Yeah, it plays the Winda. and the Upkalon on the extra deck. So this branded has extra measures when going first. It can set up the Winda, which is very strong on the format right now. I cannot name a deck that plays around Winda, to be honest. Most decks on the format really does auto lose against Winda. And yeah, paired with Mirror Jade and also the pop of Chimera when going second. Branded is still very nice deck to pilot right now. And then moving on, we have Butuan Yu-Gi-Oh! Community Grassroots Tournament. So a newbie tournament, it's really nice to see newbie tournaments on the Philippines because it really helps the community to grow and have a future that everyone can dream of on this Yu-Gi-Oh! On the first place, Orsartic, wow. So I cannot imagine a newbie playing Orsartic and tapping a tournament with Rescues, Sinful Swells, or yeah. I think this is a very nice and interesting deck list from Phantome. Orsartic, no, I think it's the deck that draws 7, if I'm remembering correctly. It's like cousin of Drytron. Yeah, it is archetype wise relative to Drytron, but yeah, maybe I'm mistaken. But yeah, Orsartic is a very underrated deck. Most people really don't know what is going on with this deck, to be honest. Even I don't know the effects of Orsartic cards on his deck list. But I can tell on the extra deck that he has some good going first boss monsters like the Chengying, the Barone, and the what I forgot. Yeah, Shen Shen and Dragite. So yeah, he has tools to go first on this list, and also the Orsartic monsters can be really tricky to deal against because yeah, you don't really know the effects of this Orsartic unless you are searching this deck on the tournament. Maybe he has that surprise element on the tournament that he brings to the table. That's why he is able to top tournament even with Rescues on the block. So yeah, moving on, we have Invoke Dogmatika. So this is without the Sinful Spoils. It is very understandable because this is a newbie tournament on this particular tournament. But yeah, it plays Droplet. I really like this inclusion from Zivesti. Droplet is very insane on the format right now. I would play Droplet if I have the tools to discard on the deck. If you are a deck that has a capacity to discard cards using the Droplet, you should really utilize Droplet right now. But on this Invoke Dogmatika, I don't really see cards that can be discarded and used as discard fathers on this Droplet. So yeah, I'm really skeptical about this, but good job on him on taking in the Droplet to surprise people on the tournament. And we have Yuno. So this is what I'm talking about. We have Rescue Sinful Spoils on the tournament, and considering the fact that he is newbie, I think it's also a good job for him already that he is able to bring a deck that is meta on the format, and also he is able to play this deck right now on the format without any problems, because when you're a newbie, you really are trying to shy away from playing meta decks because most meta decks would get hit from the ban list. Moving on, and Philippines is not a country that is rich with resources and economics. So yeah, I think having the guts to build a meta deck on the Philippines as a beginner or a newbie is a really good trait of being a competitive duelist, because you have that guts in you, you have that extra push on playing the best possible decks on the format right now. Moving on, we have Indonesia official ranking tournament from Headquarters Hobbies and Card Games. At first here we have Silent Force. So this Silent Force plays Extravagance, and I really think that it's the correct choice here. For the Silent Force, you really don't have that much traction on your extra deck on this deck list. You can play the game without your extra deck necessities on this list. So it's really fine to play Extravagance even if you deplete your extra deck for draw power and consistency. And yeah, I also like that he plays triple Cosmic Cyclone. Cosmic Cyclone is very nice as well against the Centurion, and also very strong against something like Runic right now in the format that we should not really underestimate no matter how the format folds Runic is a very pesky deck to deal against because it can deck you out and game time for the last 3 turns and win the game from having extra LP than you. And the next we have Farking. So yeah, this Farking is 42 card main deck. I think it's quite extensive, but it really works because you have a lot of starters on the deck. You have Bonfire, you have the Sinful Spoils, you have your Populous, you have your Farking engine. So yeah, it really is very consistent right now in the format, and 42 card ratio wouldn't matter that much on this regard. On the side deck, I really recommend playing the 3 Nibiru and 3 Lancea. He is really focused on bringing down Rescue Ace on the tournament because Rescue Ace is the most popular deck right now in the format. It is one of the best decks right now in the format, probably the best and most represented as well. So 3 Lancea and 3 Nibiru gives you that edge around Rescue Ace right now. And yeah, his side deck is pretty much built to deal against Rescue Ace. We have Feather Duster and 3 Evenly Match, so he is very compatible on dealing against Rescue Ace. And then moving on, we have Purrely. So yeah, quite standard decklist of Purrely, similar to Alexis Precioso's decklist of Purrely earlier. Next we have Farking here with Snake Eyes and Sinful Spoils. So this list is pretty much interesting because it doesn't play the Umblo Whale, no? But it plays the Raging Phoenix. I think playing Raging Phoenix on Farking gives you very good advantages on mid-game to late-game scenarios when you are able to utilize your Promethean Princess on the graveyard with the Raging Phoenix. It can really be devastating on the late-game scenarios and mid-game scenarios using this extra deck toolbox of Raging and Promethean. And also on the side deck, it plays a lot of Floodgates when going first. You have Tisibu and the Imperial Iron Wall. So moving on, we have a card weekly tournament. At first here we have Naturia Horus. So yeah, this is also a very popular variant of Horus deck right now in the format because it plays the Calamity and the something like Naturia Beast, which are very strong on the format right now. Calamity is an instant win, and Naturia Beast can give you very good results when dealing against Purrely and Runic and even Pendulum Magician. So yeah, most decks here relies on spell cards on the format, so Naturia Beast is a good call to play upon right now. And also on the side deck, it plays as well, there can be only one that can be really good on the format right now. And then moving on, we have Magispectre. So Magispectre with Super Heavy Samurai. I think it's the first time that I have seen Magispectre right now on the metagame report of our Uncrowned Kings LOL metagame. So yeah, Magispectre can have access to the Spellcaster Village, which disables spell cards on the format, which is massive as well against the very spell-oriented format that we have here right now. And also on the side deck, it plays Gamacell. The Turtle Kaiju, I think, is very underrated. Most people have ditched the Kaijus on the format, but I think it still has a very good impact on dealing against combo decks on the format. And the next we have Nemo, branded with Expulsion. Yeah, it plays Expulsion on the side deck with the Gimmick Puppet. So he has options to play when going first on this branded. So he instantly wins the game if he can set up the Expulsion and the Gimmick Puppet. But I think it's the third or fourth branded that we are going to see on this metagame report so far. So yeah, I think it's really nice to see branded still popping off despite the fall off from the metagame recently. And the next we have another Silent Force. So Silent Force has been tearing it up lately based on this metagame report. But this Silent Force plays the Schism on the main deck. So it has access to Winda and Construct and Japkalon. So he has tools of the Shadal to be able to empower his going first and going second with the Winda being a floodgate as well, and with the Construct that can give him good chances when going second against very powerful boss monsters on the opponent side of the field, and can give him extra body and beater on the mid-game to late-game scenarios. Next here we have Order of the Duelist in Albay in the Philippines, local ranking tournament. At first place, we have the champion decklist of Troy of Bestial Dragon Link. So, Dragon Link has been falling off lately on the metagame. Maybe because they have lost their most impactful card on the extra deck. We have the losing of the Chaos Ruler, no? On the extra deck. But even though they have lost the Chaos Ruler, I think Dragon Link is still a very decent combo deck. I think it's very decent. I really think that this deck is still capable of doing a good board. We have the IP Masquerena, the Boral End, and also the Savage on the opening turn of Dragon Link. But yeah, I think this deck doesn't have that much gas and ceiling to go against the meta right now on the format, unfortunately. That's why I have solved my Dragon Link core. But other than that, I think that playing 3, 6, 9, 10 hand traps on the deck, even being a combo deck, is a huge plus on the format because you have 9 hand traps, 10 hand traps to be able to go second as well, and you can also dominate the game when going first. And then next we have Rika Sanavalon from Steven, another Kaido Will's friend of mine. So this version of Rika plays triple talents on the main deck. He doesn't really want to lose against hand traps on the format, which are very prevalent on the format as well. So yeah, I couldn't blame him for playing 3 talents on the main deck. And also plays extensive numbers of Tyrion cards. We have the Tyrion's monsters here. We have Regulus on the deck that can give him extra negations that can protect his board. And the next we have second runner up Trickstar. So yeah, wow, Trickstar. I really didn't expect seeing Trickstar right now on the format. So Trickstar with Sinful Spoils, no? Yeah, with Sinful Spoils. So this aims to control the game from the get-go. You have Sinful Spoils to give you extra negations, and Trickstar to control the tempo of the game. And the next we have Joshua. I think it's wrong. It says Trickstar. But yeah, this is Lyril's Tri-Brigade. So Lyril's Tri-Brigade is still a very decent combo deck as well on the format. You have things like the FO, Utopic Future, and the Evian on the board with something like the Dragon Lord. And you still have things like the Nightingale, and that can go into Zeus when going second. So you can pretty much dominate the game when going first by setting up multiple negations and interruptions, and also has the tool to be able to break boards using the Nightingale and Zeus package. So yeah, this is a really nice deck right now and underrated as well. And then moving on, we have Indonesia official ranking tournament from Winstrix. The champion of the tournament is none other than Crystal Beast Horus. So this plays also the Tyrion package. I really don't know how this deck functions. Maybe it is a going second deck that can link climb into something like Apollusa when going first, and IP Masquerena. So yeah, this is a very interesting list. It doesn't play the Saryuja, no? Most of the time on Crystal Beast I am seeing Saryuja on the extra deck. But this list doesn't have that Saryuja toolbox on the extra deck. And also on the side deck, it focuses on going second entirely. He has the balls to play his side deck as going second as possible. We have 3 Kaijus, 1 Pankratops, 2 LS, 2 Eclipse, 3 No More, and 3 Winley Match with 1 Reboot. So yeah, he wants to devastate boards using this decklist of Crystal Beast with Horus. I think it's really understandable because Horus gives you so much bodies. When going second, you can just OTK your opponent. And he has tools as well when going first. We have the Tyrions, and we have the Apollusa, and the IP Masquerena as well on the extra deck if it helps him go first. And the next we have Exosister. So yeah, Exosister has been kinda low-key but strong on the format. You have a lot of graveyard effects on the format right now. So Exosister is the best deck to deal against that. And also plays Darkhold on the side deck. I'm really not sure about that. Maybe he just wants to clear the board on his Exosister and his opponent's board. And the next we have Infernoble, Sinful Spoils. So this deck is very popular on the TCG, but I couldn't really say the same here on the OCG because of Maxi, of course. this deck summons almost half or 3/4 of their deck on a single turn. So yeah, I think it's a very explosive combo deck that really hardly loses to Maxi. But when you're able to play through that and set up your board, I think you pretty much win the game the moment that you go first and set up these multiple negations on the Infernoble and your extra deck. And the next we have Trap Tricks. Wow. So this is a very nice budget deck right now in the format. It doesn't play the Zeus, no? It only plays the Tyrion package with the Revo Synchron. And yeah, I think Naturia Beast as well is very nice as well on these Trap Tricks. You can really definitely win games by just summoning Naturia Beast. And then moving on, we have Game Store, Evil Twin Local Top from the Vietnam. So Evil Twin has been really non-existent on the previous weeks and the previous months already. I think it's the first time seeing Evil Twin in many months right now. So yeah, Evil Twin is a very decent deck, a very good mid-range deck when you consider the fact that you set up a very minimal board that can interrupt your opponent, destroy, pop. From this Evil Twin, you draw cards as well. You stack up your hand traps on the card. That's why he is not playing Infinite Impermanence, because he wants to capitalize on draw. Oh, he plays Infinite Impermanence. So yeah, he wants to capitalize on drawing cards with this Evil Twin that can fetch him and give him something like Ogre and Bell, which can help him go second, and Nibiru as well. And then moving on, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Davao Mindanao Gaming, another tournament from them. We have Fire King Sinful Spoils. So pretty standard deck list of Fire King Sinful Spoils, nothing much to be said. I think it's very basic and very standard. And the next we have another Fire King Sinful Spoils. So another standard deck list of, it plays 2 Bell and 2 Nibiru on the main deck. I think Bell is very underrated as well on the format. Most people doesn't really expect Bell on the main deck because most of the time Bell is on the side deck. But when you can play Bell, you have advantages over Labyrinth, because Labyrinth is still a very popular deck here in the Philippines. Most people plays Labyrinth because of the Rumple 2 full right now. Rumple 2 full really gives Labyrinth that much edge to be played on the format right now. That's why Bell is very popular, that can be able to mitigate the consistency of Labyrinth. And yeah, next we have Pendulum Magician from David Jiang with Supreme King, no? So quite different take from the standard Pendulum Magician. It plays the Supreme King engine on the deck, which can set up as well a powerful threats on the extra deck. Very nice as well from David. I really didn't think that I would see Supreme King on Pendulum Magician right now. But yeah, I think it's very explosive as well, like the usual Pendulum Magician. Next here we have the Dueling Nexus ranking tournament. At first place here we have Fire King Sinful Spoils. So I think Fire King is much more represented in Southeast Asia over Rescue Ace, because yeah, the Fire Attribute event really made you bought 3 structure decks of Fire King. That's why I think many people have tried to play Fire Kings, because they want to capitalize on having their Fire King structure decks. And the next we have Rescue Ace, no, from Yap. So this plays the Triple Veiler on the main deck. I think I really recommend that, because on Rescue Ace you don't really have that much space on your back row. That's why I think that Veiler is better over Imperm here on this Rescue Ace build right now. And the next we have Scareclaw. Yeah, Scareclaw. Visas. So yeah, this deck can comfortably go second as well, with the Tryhard being oppressive as hell when going second, and also can be very nice when going first as well. So this is a very good deck that can go first and go second. And also the tools as well on the deck can be utilized when going second. We have Pankrataps, we have Kurikara, we have Nibiru. So all of those top can be very advantageous to you when going second. And then next we have Kiyong, 4th place Rescue Ace. This is the older version of Rescue Ace without the Bonfire and Snake Eyes. It plays the Synchron line of play on this Rescue Ace. We have the Olayon and the Jet Synchron that can give him access to Dragster and Savage and Barone when going first, you have a lot of protections to protect your back row. You can protect your extinguish, your contain, your emergencies, your alert. So yeah, I think this still a very viable choice of budget rescue ace right now. And then moving on, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Indonesia TCG Shop ranking tournament. At first place here we have Fire King with a synchro package on the deck. Wow. So yeah, I didn't really anticipate this one. And on the side deck it plays Blaster, no? Blaster is very interesting as well on the Fire King. It can give you some resiliency on this deck. And 3 a pointer, wow. So he really wants to catch people's hand cards when going first. And then next we have Rescue Ace here. So triple anti-spell and triple summon limit. Quite a number of floodgates when going first. Maybe because people are already optimized on playing Veilers and Imperms on dealing against Rescue Ace. All of those hand traps. And they don't have that much answers to back rows like summon limit and anti-spell when facing Rescue Ace. Except if they have drawn the Evenlys and the Harpies Feather Duster. But luckily for him, he plays the Synchron build. So he has protections towards his back row. Next, we have Chimera Jubel, no? So, yeah, with Sinful Spoils and Snake Eyes. So, this is a very interesting list because I didn't really anticipate that you could mesh Jubel on this Chimera. If I'm not mistaken, they are both illusion type monsters, no? Yeah, I'm really skeptical about this. I really don't know what are the types of Jubel monsters. But yeah, other than being fusion monsters, apparently, I really don't see the synergy between this. But yeah, maybe I'm mistaken because I think Jubel is really not that good on release from the Phantom Nightmare. But yeah, he managed to place third on this tournament using this very unique deck. So huge props to him. And then next we have Goblin Rider with Punk. So it plays the rank 3 toolbox on this Goblin Rider. And Goblin Rider as well is very interesting. It also recently came out from the Phantom Nightmare. And yeah, it's nice to see newer decks on the block topping recently with this Goblin Rider. With rank 3 toolbox. And then moving on, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Iloilo Association Casual Tournament. We have Supreme King Zephyra. So yeah, this is the list that I am seeing earlier from the Pendulum Magician with Supreme King. But this time with Zephyra. So Zephyra is also a combo deck and a Pendulum variant that can give you access to the most powerful boss monsters on the game. And also can give you multitudes of negations. So yeah, it's no surprise that these type of decks are topping tournaments recently because the Supreme King support is very massive for these Pendulum archetypes. And then next we have Red Dragon Archfiend second place from this tournament from Aika-chan. So triple droplet as well. I really commend that. Droplet is very insane on the format. You have a lot of decks like Silent Force which has Omni Negate. So you can give droplet to them and basically win the game for free by just resolving the droplet against them. And triple Skullmeister on the side deck. I really didn't think that Skullmeister would be good on the format. But yeah, a lot of graveyard effects are being played right now on the format. That's why Skullmeister could make sense on this regard. And then next we have Sky Striker third place with with Royal Decree. So Royal Decree gives you edge against Centurion and trap decks like Runic and Labyrinth. We have Royal Decree to stop the Centurion because they are treated as continuous traps on the spell and trap zone as well. So yeah, Sky Striker is a deck that really lacks the firepower right now in the format. But on this list, he wants to go first and go second. He displays 3 Upstart and 2 Lightning Storm and 2 Nibiru and 2 Ogre that can help him go second. So yeah, this is a very nice list here from Iloilo. And also on the side deck, he side decks the Veiler. So I'm not really too sure about that because he is not playing the Celine on the extra deck. And also triple, there can be only one. I really recommend that one. If you want to play aggressive when going first, you can definitely count on there can be only one. Next, we have Mannadium, 4th place from Geran. So, this Mannadium has been really tearing it off on this metagame report version of our video. Right now, I think it's the 4th or 5th already of Mannadium topping. So, Mannadium has been very decent on this version of our metagame report. And I think, even though you consider that Centurion is the best Calamity Turbo deck right now in the format, we can't discredit the Mannadium because they are the first deck to be able to abuse that mechanic from the Calamity. And also, Calamity is not alone on the extra deck. They also have a lot of threats on the extra deck. We have Dispater, we have Barone, and also the Visas that can supplement the explosiveness of the deck. So yeah, Mannadium is a fairly decent deck right now in the format. And also, Retaliating Sea on the side deck, very interesting. It can be really huge against Purrely as well. So yeah, that sums up our metagame report video. If you have time, you can visit Uncrowned Kings local metagame report page on Facebook on this profile. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you do learn something from this video. Hit the subscription button if you're not yet subscribed on my YouTube channel, and hit the notification bell if you want to get more updated on my future contents. So see you on the next one. Peace.